Good evening, members of council, ladies and gentlemen, staff. I see that we have quorum, and I call this regular meeting for the Town of Pelham Council for Monday, May 15th, 2017 to order. Before we begin our agenda, I'd ask that perhaps we might make a moment of silence for a member of our community that passed away. Mel Dove passed away early in the morning on May 12th at Niagara Falls at the age of 71 after a brief illness. Mel lived in Fenwick for 61 years and touched the lives of many people as an educator at Thorold Secondary School. Following his retirement in 1999, he fulfilled his role volunteering with various community organizations, including the Fenwick Lions Club, the Phoenix Lodge, the Survivors of Stroke Niagara, the Fenwick United Church, and was also served on the Committee of Adjustment for the Town of Pelham from 2000 until 2014. And it's for that reason that we honor him this evening. He's survived by his wife Connie and their children, Brandon, Heather, Ryan, Rochelle, and we would ask that perhaps you keep Mel and his family in your prayers. And I would ask all to have a moment of silence right now. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll now start a meeting with the singing of the national anthem. I would ask Councillor Papp to lead us, and all who are able to rise.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot of, in all thy sons' command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land, glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Councillor Papp. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to have a group here to sing along with, so thank you. We'll start with the agenda, and we're going to have to make a few changes because we have a special signing this evening. So we're going to move things around a little bit. And so it has been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved that the agenda for the May 15th, 2017 regular meeting of Council be adopted. And there are some changes here. So it's moved by Councillor Durley. Is Councillor Durley and Councillor King
correct
doing all of them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So there's a few items here. Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King. Consider items 11.2.1, 14.3, 14.4, and 14.9 following delegations. That we reschedule the library board presentation of a future meeting at a request of the library board. So that was 5.2.2. And then there's an additional item, 14.10 and 20.1. Going to call the question on those items. On those amendments? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Next is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Do any members of council have any disclosures of pecuniary interest? No. That is any conflicts of interest? Okay, can that be so noted? And now we'll move into delegations. We're very, very pleased to welcome representatives from Wellspring Niagara here this evening to give us an update and on their entire project. And so without further ado, I'll just introduce Anne, who's here. Thank you, the Executive Director, and if Anne can introduce others as well as they come up.
I'd like to, and first of all, good evening, members of council. It's an honor to be here this evening. I'm here with our Vice Chair, Paul Morocco, our Vice Chair of the Board of Directors. Paul would like to come up. And I'm also here today with Emilio Raimondo, our architect for the new Wellspring Niagara Cancer Support Center. Emilio. I'm also here representing Wellspring. We have many volunteers, several board members, committee members. We have our staff member, Kristen Zaghetti, our program coordinator, personal family members. So we're all here today and very excited to present to you and update you on Wellspring's new expansion project in Pelham. So Paul will say a few words.
Thank you.
So when I first found out that Joe was not going to be able to make it today, I thought, oh great, I'm going to have to come up with some adjectives that adequately convey how grateful we are. And wonderful, magnificent, all these things went through my mind. They're all inadequate. We are so grateful for what you're doing for us. And I wanted to describe, you know, Pelham, what a magnificent place. I mean, I can't get over the fact that you would do such a kind gesture. And it's a gesture that's great today, we're gonna sign, we're all excited, but it's gonna be a gesture that's gonna be 50 years, 100 years. This will be a place. I still don't have a great word to describe how wonderful it is, but I'll just say this. There'll be people that will get that dreaded diagnosis. They're going to come to a caring place, and that place is the town of Pelham. So I thought, what are we going to say to this council? And I always like to draw upon the wisdom of others, so I think I'm going to draw upon the wisdom of the Wizard of Oz. And when he was trying to describe people who do good things, you're good deed doers. So everybody here is doing a good deed. Every resident in this community is doing a good deed. And I just want to say thank you. It's really, really heartfelt thank you from the entire board, the staff, and our members. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So before I invite Emilio Raimondo to present to you the designs of our new facility, I just want to add on to what Paul is saying. I mean, there's no words to say a thanks to express, but we are so appreciative for your support. What this new facility will do for so many residents, not only here in the town of Pelham, but right across the Niagara region. As Niagara's only cancer support center, we are proud to make Pelham our home. It is at the center of the region. The accessibility will make it much easier for people to get to. Having the street Wellspring Way off of Highway 20 makes it so much easier to find our new facility. But just the opportunity for us to expand our programs, make them much more comfortable, and create a more homey and welcoming environment. We've been doing that for 16 years in a 2,000 square foot facility, and now we're building more than 10,000 square feet, which will provide us space for growth and to be able to really meet the needs of our community and those who are impacted by cancer in their lives. Last year alone, Wellspring Niagara served over 640 individuals and registered over 7,000 program attendances. Imagine what we can do in our new facility. So thank you on behalf of Wellspring. This is now the next step for us to actually make this new building come to fruition. We've been very busy at Wellspring. We've got a wonderful committee, a campaign cabinet who's been working over the last several months on raising dollars to build this facility. We have currently, and we plan on launching our campaign once we break ground in the coming weeks. Fingers crossed that's going to happen. But we are doing very well. They've been working very, very hard. We have currently raised nearly $2 million for our new facility, and we will meet goal of our $5 million by the time we open our center. So that's very exciting. There's a lot of excitement around the project. So I want to also just acknowledge and thank our committee, our volunteer committee, for their hard work, dedication, and commitment. and the organizations that have been coming forward, 180 Marketing, who've been doing all of our marketing pieces free of charge. I need to acknowledge them. That's an incredible gift, and our wonderful volunteers. So thank you. They're right behind me now. Thank you. So now I'm honored to present and excited to present, invite Amelia Raimondo to come up and present our new Wellspring Niagara Regional Cancer Support Center.
Thank you, Anne. Mr. Mayor, members of council and town staff, it brings us great pleasure to present Wellsprings to you this evening. I think you really need to be applauded for your vision in the development on Highway 20, that and Mr. David Allen. Certainly, the entire development exudes the notion of wellness, and with Wellspring Way and Wellspring Niagara being another jewel in the development, we certainly applaud you for your vision and your courage in this undertaking. Wellspring, for myself personally, it's interesting, Mayor David, you mentioned Mel Dove. I'm a Thorold boy, but we all grew up in this vicinity. You know, when I was younger, I used to pick fruit on that site when it was a farm, and I remember that. Remember the cornfields and kind of the vision of where things were and how things developed. But Mel certainly was a great geography teacher and an avid skier, and we spent on occasion many times taking trips with Mel, and certainly his family would appreciate what you've done this evening, Mayor Dave. Anyway, Wellspring's a wonderful project, and we're certainly quite pleased to be involved. Anne mentioned the notion of family and what this organization is for our community. Certainly it being located in Pelham will be a great asset to this community, but on a broader sense of thinking, the greater Niagara community in essence, and it really is about family, and the organization really brings deep strength in providing cancer support services to their client and to the broader public. And with that said, we certainly would like to applaud the town staff. As of this week, we've tied up all of the site plan agreement requirements, and I believe we're here this evening to certainly endorse that document. And we work quite well with town staff, and they're wonderful people to deal with, and we thank you for that. The next step that lies ahead with Wellspring is potentially sort of a phased permitting, and we'll probably ask again staff's indulgence for a conditional footing foundation permit as we move forward with merit contractors and construction. So again, we hope that we can work closely with town staff to undertake that process.
Okay, so you're going to show us some great pictures of this new facility.
Give you a presentation here. Okay. So the first slide is basically the site plan. Hasn't really changed a whole lot from the last concept you've shown. You've got your primary entrance off of Wellspring Way with parking along the south side. There's a turnaround which forms part of the entrance. One of the changes that we have included recently is an extended covered canopy that sort of takes you on the fringe of the drop-off here to give some cover to the visitors of the center. The center kind of resembles a shallow L-shaped building located along Wellsprings Way, and then the gray area here is sort of indication of the Wernorf that's sort of under development, which becomes sort of a common square. So and again, we applaud you for your sort of planning vision of the buildings confronting the urban realm. I think the rec center is doing that, Wellspring will be doing that, and that brings more interaction to the street. What we've done is create a little bit of a separation to the street, because one of the concerns dealt with some privacy and some of the functionality, but we created some green space off the street, and then we created sort of a wrought iron fence type structure to sort of strengthen the privacy requirements, but also give a feel of kind of urbanity off the street. So that's sort of the site plan, and certainly welcome any questions through the presentation or after the presentation. I'll go
Thank
to the
you.
next slide. The floor plan, again, hasn't changed a whole lot programmatically since the last presentation. The one feature we did add, as noted earlier, was sort of a covered canopy that extends off to the drop-off area.
Good idea.
And the building's more or less divided in, from a functionality perspective, in two parts. There's an office component, and again, it is in the interests of Wellspring to even look at the opportunity to offer up some of the spaces to the community. Some of the meeting spaces, boardrooms, and that's sort of in the business plan, we understand. One of the last changes we've introduced recently is a full basement underneath this portion of the building. And that would serve for future growth, as well as meet some of the requirements for storage. I call it the more active area of the building is in this location here. That hasn't changed any since our last discussion. This is a view on Wellsprings Way. So this is basically the facade looking from, say the colored area is a remnant of the Warnorth that'll be worked into the square. You can see the library, see part of the entrance foyer that sort of drops off into a covered porch. So some of the staff and or visitors can actually sit on the porch and embrace the public realm and some of the activity on the street. This is part of, again, the entrance area, washrooms and mechanical space above, and then the active areas on the, call it eastern portion of the facade. There's a slight step back of the shadow L shape that we had noted. You can see the stone fencing and wrought iron fencing, and we kind of pick up some hints of that on the roof pitches in Widow's Walk. Most of the building will likely have metal roof. We're looking at a combination of brick and stone masonry, and that's kind of the street facade. I think under the zoning bylaw, there was a requirement to have a scale that meets a two-story type of configuration. So on the public realm, we've kind of created a two-story facade. The library will be 2 stories. The upper story here is mezzanine. Then we created some clear story windows that bring natural light into some of the spaces beyond. So it gives you the perception of a 2-story, but it's really a single story. This would be looking along the, this would be the west side of the development. So this would be looking towards, say, Sobeys, the grocery store would be somewhere along that direction. And this is the facade. It's kind of an aerial. So this is the back, this is the turnabout. This is that covered walkway. This kind of gives you an idea of scale. You've got sort of the yoga multi-purpose space. There's a porch off of that. You've got kitchen area, demonstration areas, main entrance in here, office area, library beyond. Sort of gives you an indication of the scale. So the intent was when you come along the back side, you have the single story, which is more indicative of kind of a residential scale, more akin to what Wellspring has been used to, that kind of homey type feel. So we're trying to exhibit that in the architecture. So Wellspring would exhibit more of a commercial 2-story kind of streetscape, urban scale, and then that would be the south side of the building would exhibit more of a residential scale, more akin to what sort of Wellspring has provided with notoriety for, kind of welcoming, feeling like home, and we're trying to exhibit that in through the architecture as well, and into the interior spaces.
Beautiful.
This is kind of a ground view, and outside in those green areas, there's activity space for gardens. There's an ancillary building which will be used for outdoor activities. And then there's a labyrinth on the west side, which is also part of the landscaping conditions that exist there. Getting back to the site plan, we see that there's other opportunities, some of the interpretation of the exterior, the gardens, the future connectivity. I think we're envisioning somewhere along here, which would connect back to the public paths. That could all be sort of worked in to some of the programs that the center will be providing. So I think there's a great opportunity. Certainly the site is a wonderful opportunity. I think it enhances the programs that Wellspring provides to our community. And again, I'll welcome any questions that council, Mr. Mayor, or staff may have. And again, we're excited and we truly thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anything else to cap it off? There doesn't have to be. I'm just
No,
asking. You
again.
popped up there out of your seat very quickly.
I popped up here in case there were any questions, but
Okay.
certainly, I hope you're pleased with the
Yeah.
design of the facility. I think Amelia's done a wonderful job and very creative job in creating an environment that fits well into the development, but also creates a very home-like, non-institutional environment for our members. So,
That's great. Thank you very much. Does a member of the council have any questions? Or I'll certainly allow comments as well if members want to make comments about the entire project. Councilor Papp, to start with you.
Well, I'm overwhelmed, I must say. From a small conversation to this, how funny things go. 2 quick points. Emilio, is it your intent, or is it part of a LEEDs type of building, or are those components, I presume, already built in?
That's a great question. And the committee, basically, the building committee, there's an example of a project out west, and they
Okay.
call it, I mean, we know it as LEED, but it's sort of a faction of the Canadian Green Building Council.
Right.
And it's called Wellness, or
Well-Build.
Well-Build. So we've actually put together a list of components that the consulting team will be addressing. So part of the storyline of Wellspring is not only that they provide essential services, much needed service to the community, but also their environment and their building sort of exudes and demonstrates what they're all about. And so we're looking at things like low VOC paints, carpets,
Right.
woods, no formaldehyde, HRV systems, fresh air, changes of air. So between our consulting team, we've probably got a list of about 20 items. So at the end of the day, when the project is completed, within the storyline of Wellsprings, they can say, our building also demonstrates these components, which are great for the well-being of our visitors.
Councilor?
Total construction cost, can you give us an estimate? Is it 5 million or more than that, or?
no, we're looking at approximately about right now, we're still finalizing the budget, but it's about anywhere between 3.2 to 3.4 million for the building. The $5 million campaign is actually for the building, plus we are building an endowment fund for future operations.
On the model we choose the base, but we're pushing about 11,500 square feet of gross floor
With the
area.
basement? Not 3 Did I hear correctly? You can help us. Are you looking at opening 7 days a week?
Well, right now, we have to open 7 days, and we will be looking at that because of the space that we have and to accommodate the numbers. We don't know whether we want to be open 7 days a week. There's only so much manpower that we do have, but certainly what we'll be able to do is provide opportunity to expand our programming and more people within the facility, so.
I can hardly wait. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor King?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too am very excited about the design of this. The privacy that it affords is just incredible, and the unfortunate need for expansion has been well thought out. I know a couple of people that have utilized your services, and they are very, very excited that it is coming to Pelham, that it will be the center of Niagara. So kudos to you. We're all very excited about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? I would just like to say thank you very much. It's, as Councillor Papp indicated, you know, some conversations back in, I think it was 2013 in the fall.
5-minute conversation.
And talking about it and saying, wait a minute, Wellspring needs a place, and we didn't know that you were expanding, and so meetings with your board and meetings with others to talk about it, and council and staff open to the idea, the possibility, signing a memorandum of understanding in 2014 to say, yes, let's do this, let's donate the use of the land up to 2 acres, and try and get things going with that. And then determining that actually the locations that we initially thought of and the designs that we thought of would be better suited in a different spot. And so we worked together with David Allen as part of the partnership that we have with Fawn Hill Gardens and the Allen Group to say, what if we put it in the space that would make the most sense for Wellspring, for the clients, to provide that privacy that Councillor King alluded to, and that you, and the welcoming, friendly atmosphere that you are showing in your design. So I appreciate Mr. Allen for being open to the conversations and working together with council and the town to pull this together. So again, the design is wonderful. How you're using the streetscaping and that concept, and how you've also embraced that concept that this council has had in terms of the development that's going to the East Fawn Hill area, but also on the back, making it that warm, friendly location that you not only talk about, but also that you actually, what's the word, you embody. I was quite impressed, and Paul was there, and he spoke at that event, but quite impressed at the various events and fundraisers that I've been involved with since our discussions over these last number of years, and at the trivia night. And it was a fun evening, but it was like no other that I've experienced, and I have a background in fundraising, members of council, as you know, but it was so warm, so authentic, so real, so friendly, so family oriented. And that's what Wellspring is, and that's what you're coming forward with your building, and you're showing that, and we know that you're going to do marvelous things in this structure, and we're so pleased that you're coming to the town of Pelham. Your brochure here says that Wellspring offers programs that are designed to help people move forward with renewed strength, confidence, and hope. And that's what you do, and that's what this location will do. And right there on Wellspring Way, we're so pleased and grateful that you're coming to the town, and that you're going to continue that wonderful embodiment of giving. So thank you very much.
Thank you. If I could just say one more thing, and this is I just wanted to announce this because it's very special to me and my family, but as you know, my brother Aldo is the reason why Wellspring is here in Niagara region. And the town has given us the address of 50 Wellspring Way. And this year my brother would have been 50. And so that means a lot to myself and my family. It just ties everything together. And I know Aldo would be very proud of what we're doing in the community, and he would have been just overjoyed with the gift that you've given. And I don't think he could have realized how much we have grown. So thank you. I wanted to mention that. So great.
Letting us know that
Thank you.
important symbolism.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. So I will now move to the legal aspects of it. We have to actually approve all these things, and then we'll have a signing of the documents. So if you want to sit down for a second, Ms. Mantini. So it has been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the Council receive the Department of Community Planning and Development report for information as it pertains to file SP 0117 municipally known as 50 Wellspring Way. And the council approved the bylaw authorizing the mayor and clerk to enter into a site plan agreement between the town of Pelham and Wellspring Niagara Cancer Support Foundation. And the council approved the bylaw authorizing the mayor and clerk to enter into a lease agreement between the town of Pelham and Wellspring Cancer Support Foundation. Questions or comments? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried, obviously unanimously. And now we move, because we reordered the agenda for those that with their cards at home, we now move to bylaws. That's the wrong bylaw. Okay. Thank you, I will. Yeah. Thank you. So it has been moved by Councillor Junkin, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following bylaws, do now read a first, second, third time and do pass the same, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws. The third bylaw, which is bylaw 3880, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a lease agreement with Wellspring Niagara Cancer Support Foundation for the lands located at 50 Wellspring Way. Bylaw 4, as listed, which is bylaw 3881, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan agreement for the lands located at 50 Wellspring Way, Wellspring Niagara Cancer Support Foundation. And bylaw number 9, as it was listed, which is bylaw 3886, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into an agreement with Fonthill Gardens, Inc. for the purchase of the lands described as Block 1 and Block 6, Plan 59M432, Town of Pelham. Questions or comments on any of those bylaws? 3, 4, and 9. So I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried unanimously. Now we make it official down there with the signing of the agreement. So I would ask the clerk to join me down there. She has the pens, and members of council, you can, or members of Wellspring, however you want to gather around.
Jimmy, can we call people up?
Yes.
Who would like to come up for pictures? Come on, Abby. Yes, we're going to be in the city.
Sorry, you at this photography.
Get them started. Okay, let's all smile for the cameras.
You guys have to let Councillor Durley in still.
Oh, please, Councillor Durley.
Councillor's in the back over there.
I was blocking a TV camera.
Mr. Mayor, there's 3 councillors still at the back. Right back.
Councillors, if you want to come on in. There's lots of room. Thank you, Gary.
I know.
No room. It's all set. Started over lesson 1.
That'll teach you.
Right?
Come over here, Peter. Mayor Councillor Pat.
All right, now let's make it official.
That would be pretty sad.
as a sign. That's for you. Welcome to Pelham. Paul keeps saying 10 years. What do you mean by that?
I came to the board, my doctor talked me into joining the board, it was about 10 years ago. And she says, we've got to find a place, because we're outgrowing our place, and I want you to join the board to help, so.
Well, that's
It's 10 years
great.
of a lot of work.
And being part of the Niagara region and being a wine region, the discussion all started over a glass of wine.
Well done.
Seriously. We were drunk.
No, we
Not when we sign, not when we
I
sign.
deny everything.
No.
That's
Oh,
right,
that's
that's where
great.
it started.
Grape and wine
Well,
parade.
we took it very seriously, obviously,
Yeah, we
council,
did.
and wanted to carry through with it, so.
Yeah.
Thank
Kind
you.
of an idea moved into reality, so thank you very much. You're
Well,
welcome.
thank you all. You are wonderful. We're just, you talk about we're Wellsprings family. I mean, the feel of the town of Pelham is family.
Yeah.
And so it's a great fit. So thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks. Support. As always. And kids love it. Yeah. Yep. 14 grand. No, sounds good. Yeah, as always.
Pardon?
Good to remember something.
That's awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks, Emilio. Nice job designing. Thanks, everybody. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you don't have to.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening, a great meeting.
Thank you. Councilor Durley, thank you so much.
See you again.
Thank you.
Look forward to having you here.
Okay, thank you very much. Great. See you.
Forward to having you here.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
You're gonna have to kiss my hand.
I don't want to do that.
You've already seen him in action.
Yeah,
Who will turn into the toad?
probably me.
Okay, thank you. All? So you just give us 30 seconds to get organized here after the reordering of the agenda? Number 6, I think, Nancy, is that correct?
We are now on the
No, but
adoption of the minutes.
Where's that go?
Yeah, I just need to figure this out. I think.
Okay, all right. Thank you, council colleagues. Now we'll move on to the rest of the agenda. So it has been moved by Councillor Junkin, second by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved, the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. Minutes of the regular meeting of council of May 1st, 2017, and the special council meeting of May 8th, 2017. Are there any errors or omissions? Mark, would you mind just asking, they might just move along into the next area? Thank you. Any errors or omissions? Madam Clerk, I'd ask you to just take a look at the disclosure of pecuniary interest. There's maybe a gremlin in there when you get a moment. It doesn't appear to have my name listed there, but it does talk about, so it didn't come up.
Okay, so it did show in the disclosure portion,
when we get down to that actual item, I believe, but I will double. I will
In the
confirm.
disclosure portion. Yeah, if you could just look at that, okay? I think it's there, the later part it is, but it didn't say it in the top part. So if that could just be corrected as a little error, thank you. Anything else? Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, now we move to consent agenda items for separate consideration. Are there any members that would like to lift items? Councillor Durley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to lift 9.5.6, the Lanark County Resolution.
Okay, thank you. Any others? Council, I wonder if we can lift 9.5.3, which is a response from the Ministry of Natural Resources, and hoping that we can forward that to Niagara Region for their information. Anything else? Okay, so it has been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Junkin. Be it resolved that the following consent agenda items be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved as applicable. Presentation and recommendations arising from the Committee of the Whole meeting of May 1st, 2017, and the minutes for the approval of that committee. Action correspondence of routine nature, there's one item, and it is two items of correspondence, and I see one of the interested parties on that particular item here, and the motion is be it resolved that the correspondence relating to the chicane situated on Hay Street be received and referred to staff for review and report. Then we have information of correspondence items. 951, which is Fonthill Gardens, Inc., an update on the East Fonthill development process. 952, Niagara Region summary of responses regarding the double direct bylaw. 953 was lifted. 954, call for nominations for the inaugural Champion of Diversity Award from the province. 955, City of Welland resolution request to the region of the regarding the Niagara Region development charges. 956, Councillor Durley has lifted. 97, which is minutes of committee. We have the Active Transportation Committee minutes of March 21st. The Pelham Seniors Advisory Committee minutes of April 5th with the resolution. Be it resolved that Council receive the minutes of April 5th for information, and the Council receive the World Health Organization application submitted by the Pelham Seniors Advisory Committee on April 18th, 2017, requesting that the town of Pelham be designated as an age-friendly community for information. 953, which is the Pelham Community Center Oversight Committee minutes of March 28th, 2017. And I believe that's it. Any questions or comments on any of those items? I want to thank David Allen, who's now left, to give council an update on progress in the East Fonthill development process. Very pleased to see that the letter is talking about the potential for 7 to 8 doctors, and the potential for opening in 2018 for the medical center. And then also there's a information regarding the seniors retirement home and how that's progressing, and they have they're in discussions with a very significant constructor of that. So very pleased to see that process and that update. And thanks to the Pelham Seniors Advisory Committee for the World Health Organization application for age friendly. I don't know if Councillor Papp, if you want to comment on any of that. Lots of work behind that, working together with staff on that age friendly designation.
Well,
Councillor?
we're looking forward to a favorable consideration, and once the approval comes forward, we will come to council and explain to the community and council at large how we carry on with the work under WHO. It's
great.
quite significant and would give us, along with the City of Welland, a designation that we should be very proud of.
Good, so we'll look forward to that. Anything else? There being none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Councillor Durley lifted agenda item 956, and it has been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King, that the resolution contained in item 9.5.6, passed by the Council of the County of Lanark regarding the request of the Province of Ontario to support the opioid strategy as detailed in the resolution, and that this resolution be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, the Ontario Minister of Health and Long-Term Care, local MPPs, local area municipalities, the region of Niagara, and to the Niagara Medical Officer of Health, who is Dr. Valerie Yeager, and to Kevin Smith, the Niagara Emergency Medical Services Chief. Questions or comments? Councillor Durley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a very important strategy. If we think there's no drugs in our streets in Niagara, we're awful foolish, because there are, and there's a danger, as pointed out in the resolution, that fentanyl is being used to enhance some already strong drugs, and people could be taking it without even knowing it. What this strategy is meant to do, or what it hoped to do, there is a counter drug that helps in the case of any overdose or fentanyl or any of these things, any opioid, called naloxone.
Naloxone.
Something like that, okay. But whatever it is, that this thing, what they're proposing is that people should be trained in the use of this, that the province should offer support financially in the training end of it, and that all police, fire, and EMS people, first responders, can have this drug handy in case they come across someone who unfortunately falls to fentanyl or one of the bad drugs that are out there. I think it's very important. It could save some lives, because people could be taking this without even knowing it. And I think we should support this, and certainly make a lot of noise to the provincial government to say this is an area where something is needed, so please give us some help on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor King, as seconder, or any other members of council like to comment on the resolution?
I don't really have anything else to add to what Councillor Durley has already stated.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Papp?
Our neighbors to the south, and you've probably been following this in Western New York, have an epidemic, and they have taken steps at the, like I say, state legislature to mandate, not just as, and I agree with Councilor Durley, not just mandate, or I mean, not the education, but actually state that in fact all health-related organizations, social service, addiction services, that they be distributed and trained in this. We're not sure of the statistics here. I only hear anecdotal things that are going on, but you can be assured that there are individuals, particularly if you check with some of our mental health addiction centers. We have, as many of you know, methadone clinics, others that are located in strategic areas, and I think Councillor Durley, your recommendation is very timely, considering that there are incidents right now that, even though they're not out in the public, but our friends out in Western New York have said enough is enough, and we have to not only show our personnel how to use this, but also that our population that is falling into the cracks and thinking this drug is going to be an answer to things. It isn't. It ultimately, as many have seen, leads to death. There is no recovery. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Papp. Without further ado, I will call the question on the resolution. All those in favor? Any opposed? That resolution carries. Thank you for raising it, Councillor. I did ask that item 953 be lifted for separate consideration, and that's the letter from the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry regarding the appointment process to the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority Board. Council will recall that this council made a resolution in January regarding this, or maybe it was February, I think, regarding this particular issue. It was forwarded to Niagara Region, and Niagara Region, without allowing comment, Regional Council, I should say, without allowing comment, just referred it to the Minister. The Minister has now sent a response to us saying that it is in the region's purview. And so what I'm suggesting, and I know this feels like a little bit of ping pong, but I'm just suggesting that we receive the letter and forward it to, refer the Minister's letter and the original Pelham motion to Niagara Regional Council for consideration. So is there a mover and a seconder for that? Let's move by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Any further discussion? Councillor Durley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just reading the letter from Minister McGarry, in the middle of the middle paragraph, it's further, each municipality can determine its own process or criteria used to choose individuals considered for appointment. It says municipality, it doesn't say region and all that. So I think we should highlight that, that sentence and that paragraph when we do send it to the region, because in fact, to me, it's in black and white from the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. It says we have the power to do it. Why are we not afforded that possibility? And I think that's a good argument to take to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. If given the chance to speak, I will take that argument.
Thank you.
To the region. Others? Councillor Papp?
And just picking up with Councillor Durley, in fact, we have had a couple of municipalities who have in fact appointed citizen appointees, so we've actually undertaken that process. So let's get on with it and get it changed for the upcoming election for the governance.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else? There being none, so I call the question on the motion, which is to receive and refer the minister's letter and the original Pelham motion to the Niagara Regional Council for consideration. Moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Now we move to reports. Trying to get organized here, Madam Clerk, for you. Now we move to reports, and first is my report. A little bit of a brief report, because I did travel to Seattle for the Congress of New Urbanism in Seattle from May 3rd to May 6th, and I did so as the chair of the Niagara Region's Smarter Niagara Steering Committee, which talks about urbanism and growth, and especially in downtowns and concentrating that growth, etc. It was a great conference, many ideas, building on conferences in previous years as well. I did put some pictures there of this, talking about the costs of sprawl, the cost of versus the benefit of intensified development. There's a picture there of former Vice President Joe Biden, who spoke, who was very encouraging and inspirational. And I will be meeting with town staff to discuss themes and potential options for Pelham to also take up that learnings out of the conference. So look forward to doing so. And thanks very much to those councillors, Councillor King, Durley, and others for representing council at various events that I could not attend. Very pleased to attend along with Councillor Papp and the CAO and make a little bit of a presentation about the Pelham Community Centre, the East Fonthill development, and other developments to the Pelham and Welland Chamber of Commerce, and that was on May 8th. Looking forward to working together with the Chamber on the potential of economic development initiatives over the next number of months. And I think there's been some discussion about that, kind of got stalled at my end, and I apologize to the Chamber, but we'll restart that and get talking about economic development. Very pleased to attend the Community Centre fundraising announcement along with Councillor Durley, Councillor King, Councillor Accursi, and members of senior staff. Honored to participate and acknowledge and thank our very generous donors and families who are businesses and families who've made significant community contributions to the Pelham Community Centre. There are some more named facilities in the centre, and the theme of the evening was Thanks a Million Pelham, because we have surpassed, thanks to their generosity, that milestone of $1 million for funds raised for the community center, which is a huge milestone. Again, thank you very much to those very generous donors. I know that that's gone out to the media, and there'll be video and all of that on the ourpcc.ca website, and getting the word out into the social and non-social, regular media as well, telling those stories behind each of those donations. So thank you very much. That's all I'll say at this juncture on that. But I do appreciate it. Very pleased, and thanks very much to Councillor Kersey for attending the federal funding announcement for the Pelham Pool that was held at Marlene Stewart Street on Friday, May 12th, along with Vance Badaway, Dean Allison, 50% funding for renovations to the Pelham Pool, the decking, and fixing it up and increasing accessibility. So thank you very much to Dean and to Vance for that commitment. That was approved by this council in our capital budget in anticipation of a favorable response, and we received that favorable response. Also very pleased to participate with Councillor Accursi and Vance Badaway, Dean Ellison, MPs, members of the Fenwick Lions Club, the fabulous Fenwick Lions Club, to raise the flag at Centennial Park on Friday as well. The event not only commemorated 50 days until Canada Day, it also honored the donation of the Lions Club 50 years before for Centennial Park, and that park has become a very, very active park and expanded a few years ago with purchase of additional properties and considerable investment by the town and investment by the members of the Fenwick Lions Club as well. Not only dollars, but sweat equity as well, putting on very significant events for the community there and doing fundraisers. So thanks very much to those participants and also to town staff for being in attendance. I also had the honor of attending the Pelham Ark Festival on Friday evening at their what they call their gala, which means they serve wine. There's the wine reference again, Councillor Papp. So thanks very much. Congratulations to the members of the Pelham Art Festival, 31st annual Pelham Art Festival at the Pelham Arena. And it was a great, great event. Again, thanks very much for your generous support of culture and arts in our community and ongoing support of the library. That is my report. And without any further comments or questions, Councillor Papp?
Very quick request, Mr. Mayor, that you and the CAO, while you're speaking to staff about those potential solutions for new urbanism, perhaps you could present a précis to us as council as to how those things would affect us as we move along. I'd be very curious to know.
Yes.
I read some of the stuff online, and just to be interested to see how it affects us in our planning, both East Fonthill and East Fenwick. So
Okay.
if that's okay with all of you, that'd be
That's great.
okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I think it will come to play in any reviews that we do of the community improvement plans
That's
in
right.
the downtowns, looking at things called pink zones, as opposed, in which is you lighten the red tape in a pink zone, and also the zoning bylaw.
That's
and,
right.
And other pieces as well. So there's a lot of even street design engineering guidelines in terms of determining the function of the street first, and then determining, sorry to say this, Ms. Clemencio, but the engineering later, but wanting to get the function of the street correct. I know you get it, so sorry to pick on you, I apologize. But that's the idea, and some great feedback. So we'll do that, Councillor Papp, and
Thank you.
do a little
Appreciate
bit of a
that.
debrief and presentation perhaps at an upcoming committee
Yep.
meeting. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, the council receive Mayor Augustine's report dated May 15th, 2017 for information. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. We have other reports from other members of council. Councillor Durley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On May the 5th, I had the honor of representing council at the Lions Effective Speaking Finals, which was held in St. Catharines. There were some 45 youths that have qualified to compete in this competition, and their families and friends. So the room was filled with probably about 150 people there, and it was, anticipated that there'd be some great speakers, and there were. And frankly, I was a bit intimidated because those kids probably could speak better than I could. But we did manage to get through. But I did, on behalf of the town, point out that although it was in St. Catharines, which is in the Niagara region, and it's in the Niagara region, I pointed out that the Fonthill Lions were the host of this event, and the Fonthill Lions are hosted here in the town of Pelham, and I welcomed everybody from across Ontario that attended to the GPA, to the Greater Pelham area. So that was where and compliments and kudos to the Fonthill Lions who hosted this very, very successful event. It was a great evening, and it went into Saturday. I wasn't there on Saturday, so I don't know who won, but there were some terrific speakers there. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much, Councillor Durley. And it has been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Papp. Be it resolved, the council received Councillor Durley's report, including the GPA, and regarding the effective speaking competition finals for information. Love that. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. We're going to have to start using that, Councillor. And Councillor King also has a verbal report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Wednesday, May the 5th, McDonald's restaurants held their annual McHappy Day in support of Ronald McDonald House Charities in South Central Ontario. The donations raised between 4 of the locations in Niagara amounted to roughly $18,500, with almost $3,800 of that coming from the Fonthill location alone. As we probably are all aware, Ronald McDonald House Charities, South Central Ontario, is part of a network of 15 Ronald McDonald houses across Canada, which provides a home away from home for families of children who are seriously ill and being treated at nearby hospitals. I was stunned to find out that 30% of the families that utilize Ronald McDonald House in Hamilton are from Niagara. I found it really an astounding number, considering the size of South Central Ontario. But anyway, it was a happy day. There was fun had by all. There were many staff from the town that came over in the couple of hours that I was there. So it was really great to see the town being so supportive of the fundraising. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor King. Thank you for representing council. Councillor Pat, you want to?
So I should have tag teamed with you because I was in Fort Erie that same day in another capacity with McHappy Day, and I echo your reflections as well. We raised about approximately $4,500 equivalent. So again, the same thing. We were stunned by some of the numbers that we heard about the number of participants at the Children's Hospital around McDonald House in Hamilton. So that's great. You had one end, I had the other end.
That's great. Thank you very much, Councillor. And one never knows when one needs the services, and it's great to support them so that it's there and available for all. So thank you. So it has been moved by Councillor Junkin, seconded by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved the Council receive Councillor King's report respecting McHappy Day for information. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thanks again for representing council. Now we move to staff reports requiring action. We already lifted dealt with 11.2.1. So now we move to 11.2.2, which is the sign bylaw amendment for lawn signs. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the council receive the report from the Town of Pelham Fire Chief regarding a proposed amendment to the sign bylaw to permit temporary lawn/boulevard signs for non-profit groups and community organizations, and the council approved the proposed bylaw amendment. Questions or comments? Appreciate the chief putting this together. I think he alluded to it in one of his previous reports, how it was an issue and how we want to promote these types of groups, yet dissuade others that are merely commercial in nature from putting up their signs. So thank you very much. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Now 11.2.3, it's been moved by Councillor Junkin, second by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved the council receive the Community Transportation Pilot Grant Program extended funding concept sheet, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign and seal the Community Transportation Pilot Grant Program Amending Agreement Number 1 for the period of April 1st, 2017 to March 31st, 2018. Any questions or comments? This is coming out of the extension of that agreement and working together with the ministry. So thanks very much, staff, for putting this together and working together with them. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Kersey, second by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved the council receive the Corporate Services Report Water and Wastewater Construction, Rice Road, May 15th, 2017. And the council approve the construction of a new water main and wastewater along Rice Road north of Highway 20 at an estimated cost of is this the right amount? $184,460. Questions or comments for this report? This is a condition of sale. Anyone else? No? Okay, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. We look forward to that work being done. And I think there's a very detailed cost estimate there as well. So the work being done starting in September, I think, is what the report says. So the gentleman's here that's very interested in that. So thank you. Now we move to bylaws, do we not? Thank you. So now we move to the remaining bylaws. It's been moved by Councillor Junkin, second by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following bylaws, do now read a first, second, and third time and do pass the same at the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the following bylaws. As they're listed, bylaw 1, which is bylaw 3878, being a bylaw to amend Schedule E, to bylaw 3578, being a consolidated bylaw confirming various appointments to boards, commissions, and committees of the town of Pelham, and to remove Maria L. Zegheller from and to add John Abbott, Ava Colangelo, and Andrea Stubings to the Pelham Community Beautification Committee. Bylaw 3879, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into an easement agreement to obtain an easement from James Christopher Slolecki and Sherry Lynn Slolecki over part lot 4, RP 717, Town of Pelham, 1435 Station Street, being part 1 on Plan 59R 15829, appended to the agreement. Next, we have the bylaw that was listed as number 5, which is bylaw 3882, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 3615, being a bylaw authorizing the mayor and clerk to enter into a transfer agreement with Her Majesty the Queen in right of the province of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Transportation for the province of Ontario, by authorizing amendment agreement number 1, appended here too. Bylaw 3883, being a bylaw to set the rates of taxation for the year 2017. Bylaw 3884, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 3310, being a bylaw for prohibiting or regulating signs or other advertising devices. It's amending all these bylaws?
For some reason it's in there 3 times. It's just one bylaw.
Okay.
Just stop reading.
Stop right here. Okay, thank you. I get to stop reading. Thank you very much. And bylaw 3885, being a bylaw authorizing the mayor and clerk to enter into an agreement with Hydro One Networks, Inc. with respect to blocks 4 and 14, Plan 59M432, and block 127, 130, and 132 on Plan 59M434, Town of Pelham. And as it was listed, bylaw number 10 being bylaw 3887, being a bylaw to repeal bylaw 2977, 2008. Questions or comments? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried.
It's the rates of taxation, right?
Yes, it's right here. I did say that one.
Okay.
On this one. Okay. Thank you. Next, I do have a motion to move into closed session. It has been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, the next portion of the meeting be closed to the public in order to consider matters under Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act as follows. Item under Section 239(2)B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, 1 item. And an item under Section 239(2)D, labor relations or employee negotiations, 1 item. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. We'll now move into closed session, and I would ask all who are here to leave, please. Thank you very much. We'll reconvene after closed session. Thank you.
I might just say that there is no pink.
Just for your information, there is no committee meeting this evening, no policy and priorities committee meeting this evening. So for those that are watching, that's why it's